Or good morning or good evening, depending where you're located. I'm Liz Ryan, and we're on LinkedIn Live today. It's September the 8th, and we're talking about our career coaching method, our career development method that we developed and teach at our company, Human Workplace. Leave your comments in the chat, comments and questions. This LinkedIn Live session is devoted to our career coaching methodology. I'm going to walk you through our process that we teach to job seekers and to career coaches and career development professionals around the world in hopes that there will be something useful and something of interest here for you. So please leave your comments and questions in the chat, and I will get to as many of those as I can. A little bit of background about career coaching for me is that my background is HR. I've been an HR person since before most of the people on this call were born, the 80s. And I've been teaching people informally that long how to get a new job or how to think about their career and how to manage their career. When I left the corporate world, a friend of mine said, "You should really dive into the topic of career coaching, Liz, because a lot of people need help with that. And it's tangential, it's related, closely related to your background as an HR person on the other side of the desk, interviewing candidates, reading resumes, advising candidates, and advising my own coworkers when they were interested in making a career change or doing something different than what they were doing." So I said, okay, fine, I will dive into that. And I developed the career coaching approach and methodology and mindset that I'm going to share with you right now. So, what happens is most of the people that you see here on LinkedIn or anywhere out in the world and on social media talking about getting a job, most of them are coming at their job search, in my opinion, from the wrong perspective. And that perspective is, please, Your Majesty, give me a chance. Please, somebody, find me worthy. You see these posts on LinkedIn. Can anyone help me get a job? Guys, I need a job. We understand that emotion, of course. When we feel desperate and we feel needy and we feel like, oh, somebody just come in and save me. We've all felt that. But that's not how you get a job, especially not the kind of job that deserves you. Mindset in your job search or in your career in general is everything. And I understand that when people are job hunting, they're not necessarily feeling like, heck yeah, I'm a superstar and they'll be lucky whatever company hires me. They don't feel that way, especially if they're under financial pressure. Their family is on their case, go get a job. They just feel like, I just need any job. But here's the thing, even when we feel like I would take any job, I'm not picky, we still need to be in our power, or we are not even seen. We won't even be seen, much less considered, because here's the thing, nobody hires someone because that person is the most desperate. And if they would hire you because you come across as the most desperate, you would hate the job in 2 seconds when you start that job. And your energy comes roaring back, your self-esteem and confidence come back. You're going to be sorry that you took the job and say, I wish I had held out for something a little better, but you weren't in the mental space to do that. So, the first thing that we talk about with job seekers and career coaches who are advising job seekers and career development professionals in career services offices in universities and on campus, as well as workforce development professionals across the United States and abroad who work with job seekers, is that mindset is everything. And out of the mindset of complete desperation, you're not going to get you're not going to get perhaps any job at all, because that conveys as, I don't think I'm any good. So if you don't think you're any good, why would I hire you? Right? Why would I hire you? So how do you work on your mindset? Well, it's a practice. It's a daily practice, like yoga, like any daily practice, like journaling. In fact, journaling is a great thing when you're working on your mindset. Now, you can't take a pause for 3 months in your job search and work on your mindset and then go out there and hit the job search trail. You need money. You might need a job right now, but you can do the two in tandem. You can be putting the practices in place and pursuing a job while you're working on your mindset. And here's the thing, you only need to turn that corner from I'm not feeling any of my power. I'm not feeling any of my confidence. I feel like my experience so far is nothing. It doesn't hold up. I feel less than. I worry about the other candidates. I think these interviewers are not going to like me. You can't snap your fingers and change that, but you can commit to change it. You can commit to work on it. And that is all I ask of job seekers in our programs, in our courses, in small group coaching, in any way that I show up to work with job seekers. I only ask you to commit to try. To commit to try. Because if you won't commit to try, then everybody in the environment is going to be evil. Companies are going to be mean. You're going to say what's wrong with them, and it's going to be this ball of unhappiness and anger. Is the job search process, by the way, broken? Yes. Yes, of course it is. And that's one reason why the mindset is so important, and the methodology that I'm about to walk through with you. But the mindset is everything. It's everything. Because if you have the mindset, I don't care, I'm not invested in this, just give me a job, just give me a job, that is a barrier to actually getting hired for any job. And I know that people are really in a low point when they say, I was a assistant controller and I'm applying for jobs at retail stores where I worked in high school and they're not hiring me. It's like, well, of course they're not hiring you, right? Because they see that you're not in the mindset to get the job that you really need and deserve. And it's not their job, quite frankly, to get you back in that mindset by hiring you and having you push carts around the store for 3 weeks and then say, wait a minute, why am I doing this? Right? They've been there before, right? And I've been there before. And let's talk about your mindset right now and not use Target as the vehicle to get you back in your right headspace. Does that make sense? I'm going to look at some of the questions right now in the chat here. Working in the job that pays most and all bills usually. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Okay, hi from United States. Cool. Ghana, hello, hello. Zimbabwe. Okay, I'm looking for questions. So far, I don't see any. All right, no problem. Here we go. I've had several interviews with a certain well-known entertainment firm, and they passed on me twice. I love your vibe and need your advice. I'm glad you saw your live here. Okay, you can send me a LinkedIn message afterwards, or write to us at support. I'll put it in the chat. Support at humanworkplace.com, and we'll tell you about our programs. Okay, fantastic, beautiful. Another question. First of all, several interviews. They passed. Doesn't mean anything. It's a numbers game. Several interviews is huge. That's fantastic. And that's really something to feel good about. That's what to focus on. Not in the end, they didn't hire me. It doesn't mean anything. It literally doesn't mean anything. And I want you folks to understand. In the end, they hired somebody else. Psh, doesn't mean anything. They could call you back 2 weeks later. That person doesn't work out. Okay, or quits or whatever happens. Okay. So mindset is just critical. It is so important that when you write your resume out of the wrong mindset, you're going to say the wrong things about yourself. You're going to say results oriented professional with a bottom line orientation. What? That's not you. Anybody could say that. That's just garbage language that we were taught by I don't even know who, based on rules created by who knows who. We don't even know who the person was or why we should listen to them. But it's like, well, it's the resume language. It's not anymore. It's 2022, about to be 2023, and we're not going to write resumes like robots anymore. We're not going to say motivated self-starter. What does it mean? Use every single centimeter in that resume or in your LinkedIn profile to talk about you and what is powerful about you. And guess what? Writing about yourself, talking about yourself require you to know something about yourself. That means self-reflection is critical. The two biggest mistakes most job seekers make is that they don't know what they want and they don't know how to describe themselves because they don't know what they want. They're closely related. That's why the first step in our process at Human Workplace for helping people get jobs and helping people help other people to get jobs, not just any job, but a great job that deserves them. The first step in the process is called getting altitude. Getting altitude, like getting up on a mountain. You've got to stop. You can't just like, oh, I got to get this resume out tonight. Why? What is so vital about tonight that you have to put down on paper the wrong words about yourself? That's going to reflect back into your mind and your self image. I want the right words on paper. I want considered words. I want power words about you feeling, your full power, your full strength and heft. You have done things, you have made a difference, you have impacted people, right? But you're not going to be able to claim that. You're not going to be able to feel those accomplishments in a state of desperation, right? Just taking a little time, a half an hour to say, okay, I do feel afraid. It's normal. We all feel afraid. I feel afraid right now because my boss just got fired. And my boss was not an amazing boss, but her being fired is scary for me because it means I know who's going to come in as our new boss. It's this other boss down the hall who really doesn't like me, doesn't like our old boss, probably had a hand in her getting fired. And I am afraid that I am going to lose my job and I'm going to have to find another job quick because I just had to do repairs on my car and I do not have much money left. That's terrifying. We get it all the way down to the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like paying the rent. We get it. We get it. It's normal and it's fine. And it doesn't mean that you should take a desperation job right now and sacrifice all the work that you've done at this job and your prior jobs to build your resume and your confidence and your marketability, right? And if you would take that sort of survival job, it's fine, people do it. But if you would do that, I don't want you now to recast yourself in the role of, well, I'm just this person who has this not very great job because difficult circumstances hit me and I'm not equal to those circumstances. That's why we are always building our own fuel tank, filling up our own fuel tank. So when those difficult situations arise, we're like, this is difficult and I can get through it. I have the resources. I know I'm marketable because I've been working on my marketability even when I was working in a good job. Because who knows, anything could change at any moment, right? So step number one is called getting altitude. And here's what it is: stopping, quieting our busy brain and saying, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to get through this. And the first step in getting through this is looking at my own path and what I have collected, accumulated, acquired along that path since I was a little kid. I'm going to write down. I'm going to write down answers to a lot of questions. The questions we ask are, what did you like to do when you were a little kid? Who inspired you? What did you think you would be when you grew up? If you think these questions are trivial or silly, I understand, because when we're in fear, we are like, none of that matters. I just need a job. My darling, I want you to take deep breaths. You are going to get through this. You are stronger than you know, and we're going to reclaim your path because I'm trying to give you your power back. Your power that has been diminished or beaten out of you on the job or by a job loss or a situation that arose at work that was so unworkable that you feel like you have to get out and you have to get out fast, right? This is what happens nowadays. Doesn't diminish you, but we feel like it diminishes us. And therefore, we go out on the job search trail feeling like damaged goods, which you are not and never, ever could be. So getting altitude is step one. It's exercises and it's journaling. And it's listening to my motivational podcast where I'm saying right what I'm telling you right now. You have it. You just have to get back in touch with it, with your flame, with your power. You have stories, accomplishments from your past. We're going to grab those. It's not, I have 2 years of experience with Excel. What does it mean? That doesn't mean anything. 2 years of experience reading Excel reports or putting one number in one cell, and it doesn't mean anything. There's no power in it, and it doesn't reflect back on you as your power, right? But now if we say, well, how did you use Excel? Well, I created reports. What kind of reports? Well, I started out creating like sales by territory, sales by sales rep, sales by product. And then I got more sophisticated and I I devised some reports that were profitability by product, and I got some other numbers from another department, and I actually started to put together some reports that the VP used to make territory decisions and pricing decisions. Oh, okay. So you're doing sales analysis. You're doing sales analysis, sweetheart, not just doing Excel, right? Feel the impact of your work that will reflect back on you and grow your flame back to where it needs to be. Refilling your fuel tank. That's what I'm talking about in the job search process or the career exploration process, right? It's all about you and you feeling good and feeling strong. That's our goal. The job comes when you feel strong, right? When you feel like if this is the right job that I'm interviewing for, I'll take it. And if it's not, I won't. Let's look at the questions. Feeling like I need someone to remind me of my power, and we all do, don't we? I have had some horrible narcissistic bosses who have diminished my spirit. I'm so sorry to hear that. Want to be intentional about my job search. Yes, yes. Also, feeling like ageism is a real thing. I'll talk about that. I stopped putting my college graduation date on my resume because younger people are being hired for the jobs I'm applying for. Ready to take my power back. I'm so glad to hear it. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm undoubtedly older than you, but I understand that ageism thing. It's absolutely real. But here's the thing: when you're all the way up, like towards the top of the fuel tank, like it's just bursting, and we've all felt that way, but we don't necessarily feel that way at any given moment, not when we're job hunting, right? But when your fuel tank is full enough or your flame is big enough, it'll be like ageism. I'm me. Like, if you don't see what I bring, we got nothing to talk about. Here's what I say to job seekers: only the people who get you deserve you. And by get you, I mean they see what you bring. They like it. You get into a conversation, they see it. If there would be someone, think about it. If there would be someone who would say, "Oh no, you're too old. I'm too old. You don't want to hear what I have to say because after a certain age that you invented in your head, I couldn't have anything worthwhile." No time for you. No time for you. What we're not going to do is grovel. Please, sire, hire me. And we're trained to grovel, by the way. Invisible loudspeakers everywhere we go tell us there's something wrong with you. You're not good enough. There's a lot of other candidates. The only reason companies look at, I speak to you as a former senior VP of HR for a Fortune 500 corporation, right? The only reason we interview 8 or 12 candidates in our systems all across the world of interviewing. We don't have to interview all those candidates, but we interview so many candidates so that it feels like, oh, the candidates really have to impress us. They have to impress us because there's so many candidates. No, you want to know the truth? In every boardroom, they're talking about how it's really hard to find good people. And so part of this is knowing you are one of those awesome candidates they would be really privileged to have on board. But we're getting a lot of negative messages, so you're fighting against that. How? Number one, surround yourself with the right people when you're job hunting. Limit your time. Maybe your high school friend who drags you down every time you see them. Limit your time. Not now, not a good time to get together because I don't want you talking about how I have all these faults and I'll probably never get a good job. No, even your family members. If they bring you down, if they dim your flame, no, only the people who get you deserve you. That is the rule, right? That is the mantra. If you're recovering from a horrible situation in a toxic workplace, this goes double. Ageism? What about racism? That doesn't come with age. Racism is just racism when you walk in the door. Oh, I don't like your skin color. I don't like your ethnicity. So we're not considering you. God bless. You don't have time. You don't have time. We individually are not going to solve these societal ills, structural racism, ageism, ableism, homophobia, right? We're not going to solve them in a particular job search, but we can be aware of them and say only the people who get me deserve me. My job is not to grovel or please anybody. As a job seeker, my job is to feel my power and keep looking for the people who get me, and I only need one. I only need one. And if I have to take a survival job, I'm going to take the survival job and keep looking because it's my career. I'm the CEO of my career and my life. There's nobody to make these decisions. I don't have to. They ask me to do something I'm not comfortable doing. I want you to write a whole new marketing plan. You can see a mile away, they're just trying to collect free marketing plans, might not hire anybody. You're not going to do it. Oh, I hate to say no to an opportunity. It's not a real opportunity. It's not a real opportunity. Make sense? See if another question. I am in a job I love with an amazing team and manager. Yay. The problem is that the TMT, don't know what that means, makes decisions without our no, and boom, you have to implement them, which doesn't give us room to discuss or give, in my opinion, the end, bringing too much pressure. How best can we raise? Got to find the rest of that comment, which got cut off. Also don't know what a TMT is. Okay. I'll wait. I don't want to speak on that until I know that I got the whole thing. Chat's being a little weird on me here. How can one strike a balance between positioning our mindset to seeking a job that comes with employee satisfaction with lower pay and a high paying job with little or no motivation for growth? At different times in your life, you're going to want different things. And at some points, your bank account is depleted. You can say, I'm going to go for the money. And maybe I'll stay a year to 2 years. I'm going to go head down. People go in the military and they go to basic training and they're like, it's not fun, but I'm going to get what I need out of it, which is that I will be a fully fledged, member of the military, and I can get all the benefits that has to offer, both in terms of, travel and college money and leadership experience, whatever. But I have to go through certain things to get it. Same thing might be if I want this job and I want that money because I'm going to pay off my credit cards and pay off my car, and then I'll get a job that speaks more to my soul and who I am. That might be your strategy. Another time you might be like, I am burnt. I am burnt from my last job and I need to be around the right people. I would say this: don't let anybody tell you we don't pay very much because we have a great culture. Empirically not true, objectively not true, because a great culture obviously starts with paying people what they're worth. Don't let people tell you. I moved, my family and I moved in the last year from Colorado, Boulder, Colorado, out to the East Coast. And a thing out there in Boulder, Colorado, beautiful place, but employers would say, and they would say to me, you should tell everybody about our company. You should tell all your readers about our company. It's a fantastic place to work, and the mountain views from our office windows are part of your compensation. What? How dare you? You pay a high rent in that place to get those wonderful mountain views, and it's part of no one's compensation. How dare you? Pay them the right amount and also give them the mountain views, right? How dare you? We are finding our power, which means saying no. I say to my kids, I have 5 kids, so somebody's always job hunting or thinking about their career. They're at an age, they're changing jobs and stuff a lot. And I tell them, don't just say no to the wrong things. You have to slam the door on the wrong thing so hard the building shakes. Okay? Boom. You have to slam the door decisively, definitively on the wrong things for your own benefit. The mountain view is part of my compensation. What? Boom, slam the door. No. Mm-mm. That literally strengthens you. That strengthens you. And it brings the right people in. All the isms here in full effect in Silicon Valley. Yes, not surprised. It's subtle, but it's ironic because it's tech and we're supposed to be enlightened in Northern Cali. I mean, isn't that the way? Isn't that the way? We're supposed to be enlightened. One day I'll tell you a story about my hellish experience at a conference in Silicon Valley some time ago where, boy, that bubble was burst for me. Silicon Valley is just naturally enlightened because we're tech people, and we come up with all the innovations. Oh, sweetie, I met some of the most fearful, awful, scared people in the world at that conference, and it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes, and that's not to paint everyone with the same brush. Obviously, I have dear friends in Silicon Valley, but it's that there is no industry that is pure. There is no industry or no function that is more enlightened than others. It's individual people, and it's individual people's fear at any given moment that influences how they behave. All right. Okay, here we go. We talked about culture or pay versus satisfaction or growth. Blah 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 blah. Let's see what else we got. Um, let's see, maybe full screen will help here. Not let me scroll through the comments. Super obnoxious, unfortunately. Okay, so moving on with the methodology, we start with getting altitude, and that means reclaiming your path from your childhood or whenever you started working and really capturing back, recalling, and reclaiming your stories, your accomplishments, what you learned about yourself, what you like to do, what you don't want to do, the situations where you thrive and the situations where you're miserable. So that's a very important step because it gives you clarity and it helps you zero in on what kind of job you want next. That is everything. I mean, I see resumes in LinkedIn every day. People send them to me and it says, I'm looking for an HR job, which could be HR coordinator or analyst or manager or VP. No, you can't do that. No one's going to consider you for an HR manager, much less VP job, if you're also open to an entry level job. It says you don't know who you are or what you want. You got to decide and you got to go out there branded as something. And that's why we do this getting altitude to get clarity on your sweet spot. What's your sweet spot? That's the place where you're going to hit the job market. That's how you're going to brand yourself. Most folks do not brand themselves in a resume or a LinkedIn profile. They say results oriented professional, mud, wallpaper paste, blah, 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 oatmeal. There's just nothing there to grab onto. You have to know who you are and bring it across on the page. You have to know what kind of job you want, down to the job title or a very small family of closely related jobs. Now, you might say, Liz, I'm qualified to do all kinds of stuff. I know you are, but that's not the point. You're qualified to do any number of things, but that doesn't become your brand, right? Your brand is what you want and intend to do. And the reason your brand is compelling because they want somebody, an employer wants somebody to do a specific thing. They are only hiring someone because they have a problem that can only be solved by them hiring someone. And if you show up as the person with the morphine for their pain, right, then you're a great candidate. So you can't say, I could do this, but I could also do this, this, this. Decide. Got to decide. If it doesn't work out, you don't like the results you're getting, you'll change the brand over a weekend. But you got to start off with clarity. What you love to do, what are you good at, and what will the market pay for? Where's the pain? That's where you're going to brand yourself. We call it the sweet spot. I also call that a place to put your canoe in the water, because once you're in the water, the current is going to carry you and it's going to teach you everything you need to know. Okay, seriously, never heard of a view as fringe benefit. That is amazing. How dare them, right? I just had a recruiter who came hard trying to poach not one, but two of my team. Okay. In attempt to lure them back to a company they used to work with, as did I. So I know that would be like for them, but they waved bags of money. And I was so sure these two loyal, fierce, hardworking gals would leave me. Imagine my shock when they both turned it down. The reason, loyalty and trust, and because I will always push to help them reach their goals. Not as cool as a view, but I guess still valuable. It's a million times more powerful than a view, right? It's a million times more powerful. My boss, I trust my boss. That's worth 80 million mountain views. What's a mountain view if you don't trust your boss? If you don't feel good about the place? And these folks were once bitten, twice shy, as they say, right? They've been burned before. Good for you and good for them. I mean, I know you tell them all the time how much you value their presence, but now that they made that tough decision, I would tell them one more time, right? Take them on a drive and go see the mountain view or the ocean or whatever you got near you. But this is the crux, right? What you're saying here. This is exactly the issue. It's about human trust, human empathy, consideration for your needs. That's worth money. That's worth everything, right? Lowering your stress. I want you to do your job and I'm going to support you in doing your job, but I'm not going to ask unreasonable things of you. I'm not going to text you at 11 o'clock at night unless it's a physical emergency. I'm not going to expect you to work all kinds of unpaid overtime. I respect you as a person. I respect your obligations outside of work, right? That's what managers do. That people who don't have that mindset, they can't understand. And they're going to say, "Why are your employees loyal to you? I don't understand it." Yeah, it might be hard for you to understand because it's a human thing. It's an energetic thing. My opinion, this is about the Silicon Valley issue. It's the effect of the growing conservatism driven by Stanford University, which graduates legions of new leaders in tech who seem to espouse largely libertarian economic ideas. That could well be, but a really even simpler explanation is just that the people are under tremendous pressure. And when people are under tremendous pressure and when they're managers, they take it out on their employees. I mean, it's the oldest story in the book. But let's keep going with this methodology. We talked about step one, which is getting altitude on your life and career thus far. And I hope I have convinced you this is a critical step. You can't just sit down, let me write this resume, because there's no brand in it. There's no point on the arrow, right? We don't know what you're trying to do. So it's hard for me as a hiring manager or an HR person to know what you want. Now, look, I'm old enough to remember. Maybe this is like quaint, like sitting on the front porch in a rocking chair or churning butter by hand, right? I used to get resumes all the time at my desk, paper resumes sent in the mail saying, please consider me for any open positions in your company. And I would read their resume to see what whether they were qualified for any open position that we had, because how would they know? The only way to know what positions we had open would be to look at the actual newspaper back when there was a newspaper. And I can't expect them to look at every job ad that I've posted in the last two weeks. So it was reasonable for candidates to say to me, can you do that matching and see whether I'm qualified for anything open in your company? And of course, we hired those people all the time. That was the protocol back then. But now you have to do the work because they've posted everything online. Or if you're qualified for something and interested in something that you don't see posted, you can apply anyway, right? There's no penalty. You could apply. And you actually don't even have to apply. We're getting ahead of ourselves in terms of the methodology, because this is a channel by which you will reach employers. You don't even have to go through the online career portal. You can reach out to your hiring manager directly. Now, if you do that, I want you to follow my protocol because it works. And just saying, hey, I'm interested in a job, they're going to send you right back to HR. That's not going to help you. But there is a protocol. It's called a pain letter, where you write directly to your hiring manager. That is the person who will be your boss if you end up in this job, not the HR people, unless you're looking for an HR job. But you'll write directly to your hiring manager. That means the head of your department that you want to work in, because you'll find their name on LinkedIn. It's not even hard. And there's a specific set of things you'll say to them. We'll get to that if we have time here in a minute. Working in Boulder, I revived the same message, took a survival job, which also adds to my toolbox/skill set. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. It's the thing about a survival job is, how do you feel about it? If you feel like now you're just permanently tarred and diminished, then that's going to completely affect your career and your next job search. If you feel like, wow, that was a real breather from the corporate world, it exposed me to some cool things that I hadn't had access to before. I had some really great interactions and conversations. I kind of worked some different muscles. It's cool. I'm ready now. I'm ready maybe to get back to being an assistant controller or whatever. But I'm thrilled that I went and worked at Jamba Juice. It was a ton of fun. I liked it, right? It's how we claim this stuff. Same thing with the gap. Oh, you had a gap? How dare you have a gap? You stepped off the conveyor belt? Oh, right. Oh, yeah, it was so great. Recharge my batteries. I had been working 15 years with no more than a week and a half vacation. So taking 4 months off was like heavenly. I just got my house organized. I got my head organized. I got my life organized. And now I'm really excited to come back and do some digital marketing, whatever it is, right? Physical therapy, whatever it is. I'm thrilled that I had that opportunity. You set the frame and invite them to step into it, and 85 to 90% of people will step in because you set the frame. When you say, yeah, I'm sorry about my gap, I apologize. Who was I to think I could take time off just because I was sick or my mom was sick? No, you say I was privileged to spend time with my mother when she needed me. I was thrilled to be able to help out my cousin. It was such a wonderful thing. And the two of us, I nothing could replace that. Same thing with your background. Yeah, I'm delighted that my career shaped up the way it did because it gave me an opportunity to experience this and this and this. You set the frame and invite the person with you to step into that. And you do the same thing in your resume. It's not, "Please, sire, please, your majesty." No, it's like, "Here I am, and I'm excited to do this work with you, and I get what's powerful about my background, and I invite you to see it too, but I have to see it first before anybody else will." I'm a college professor with 3 years experience in higher ed and just had a recruiter that said I was not qualified for a technical writer position because the learning resources, curriculum, and department review manuals that I have authored and co-authored doesn't qualify as experience because they were not created for an enterprise company. What should I do? First of all, let it go. Folks, do you see how absurd that is? God bless the recruiter. It was probably a baby recruiter, and that's not hating because they're the age of my wonderful children who I adore, but they're not really trained to see the intersections. Of course, your experience creating course material at university is so absurd. I want you to see the absurdity and I want you to find a way to laugh. It might be laughing through tears, like they talk about in the movie Steel Magnolias, but it's still at a certain point the absurdity. Like, I can't, it wasn't an enterprise company. Oh, okay. Well, I was just a college professor for, teaching in a classroom for 3 years. That's fine. Here's what it is: small business people, right? Like Chamber of Commerce members that have an accounting consulting firm, accountancy, or a florist, or whatever, a wedding planner, those kind of folks, okay? They have a saying, and I want you to learn this too and integrate it because it's helpful for job seekers, very helpful. Here's how it goes. It says, some will, I'm going to put it in the chat. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. Where's my caps? I'm getting the cap. Some will, some won't. So what next? Some will get you and see you, and that'll be great. And some will not, and you can't get them to see it. You cannot open that recruiter's eyes. So what? Doesn't matter because your job is not to please every single person you encounter on your job search, much less to grovel and beg for the job. You just move on. You only need one. Some will, some won't. So what next? Next, meaning I'm going to shut the door on that opportunity. Thank you so much. Doesn't seem like a great fit, and that's fine. You're not going to try to, but no, but I was at college. You understand? I was a college professor. I'm doing. Why? You don't have time. You're going with whoosh, an energetic flow towards the right thing. It means shutting doors, slamming doors constantly. I want you to go to bed nearly as happy on a day when you slam the door on 5 people, recruiters who didn't get you, than a day when you got an interview set up. Because that's how you grow your flame back and refill your fuel tank. Longtime follower here. Well, fantastic. Thank you. I've used your books as a Bible to help many people through the years. This prezzo, I guess, is that how you say that? Is gold. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this work to empower so many people in the career and life journey. Well, thank you for doing what you do. That's brilliant, and I'm so glad to hear it. Okay. Look at look at the beautiful comments from one of our community members to another. I love that. Anytime we can reinforce one another, let's do it, right? Because everybody is carrying a heavy burden. So, in terms of this career coaching methodology, we talked about step one, getting altitude and getting clear on that sweet spot. So, step two is branding yourself for the job you want. Not every job you could perform, but the job you want. Now, you might be a little shaky. I'm not sure, is that exactly the job I want? Got to start somewhere. I would not view this as a lifelong decision. It's just for right now, for this job search. What's that intersection of what I like to do, what I'm good at, and what the market will pay for? You're going to brand yourself right there at that sweet spot as specifically as a job title. And this kills people because they say, I can't narrow it down to one job title. I'm leaving too many things on the table. Yeah, well, that's the only way to brand yourself, right? There's no product on the shelf that it's like, it's ketchup, but it's mustardy. It works as both, right? If you were going to a costume party and you were going with your friend would say to you, well, what are you going as? And that's what we're doing in the job search. What are you going as? Are you going as an administrative assistant? Or are you going as an office manager? It's a little bit different. Are you going as a customer service representative? Or are you going as a database analyst? Are you going as a VP of technology? And if so, what kind of technology? right? Are you CIO? Are you CTO? You have to decide. And here's the thing, people think, oh, but then I'll get passed for a different opportunity. No, you won't. Your clarity, your solidity, all the way down to the ground in what you do and why you are rocking and we're talking to about that will actually bring people in from the fringes. And I've seen it happen a million times. And a recruiter will write to you and say, I see that you're going for operations director jobs here, but I had something in supply chain and I thought maybe, you'd be interested in it. It's like, how do you explain? Supply chain is kind of part of operations, but far be it from me to instruct you. And I say, yeah, I'd be interested in talking about that. You're not leaving anything on the table. Don't even worry about that. Branding is making choices and it is actually leaving out everything that is non essential to what you want to do. That also means getting rid of jargon in your resume or your LinkedIn profile from another industry. If you want to change industries, get rid of that prior industry jargon. It's actually off putting. Just to us as human beings, like I worked on the X15 project, but I don't know what that is. It's confusing. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to this one who's not using foreign jargon, right? Because we're all like 6 years old underneath a very thin veneer, aren't we? Right? Bling, costume jewelry, but wore the exact same pearls probably when I was 6 years old, right? This is what we're talking about. Branding, good branding attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. Repels the wrong ones. That's why you're going to use a human voice in your branding. And you're going to say, I am an IT project manager who specializes in bringing big, you know, whatever financial software implementations, to fruition on time and under budget. And then you tell a story. At Acme Explosives, I bing it a bing it a bing. Boom, that's it. 2 sentences. Yeah. You want to talk to me or do you not want to talk to me? Only the people who get you deserve you. That is our mantra. Okay. I've been following Liz for years as well. Oh, thank you so much. The first time I read her work, it changed my life. Oh, thank you so much for that. These current times absolutely require Liz guidance and wisdom. We should all be grateful. Well, I'm grateful for you. That's super sweet of you to say. I can't tell you how happy I am that this message is getting out there because I did feel like I was kind of shouting into the void for a long time. Like, that's not how you write a resume. I remember one time I was going to a conference, national conference, and they said, what are you going to speak on? And I said, just this, like reinventing job. It was for career development professionals, meaning people who teach other people how to get a job. I'm going to talk about a different perspective, really human, really powerful, really energetic, and much more effective in this day and age. And they said, no, 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 sweetheart, you didn't understand. Are you going to talk about resumes? Are you going to talk about cover letters? I was like, how do I explain? I'm coming in from like a different dimension. And I just said, oh, I'm going to talk about, post interview thank you notes. Just put me down as doing a keynote on post interview thank you notes. And then I just made sure to include a little note about post interview thank you notes. But when you're changing a very well established, like, "Oh, this is how you job hunt," and it's so wrong, it's so unfortunate. I said that wasn't when I was an HR person, stacks of resumes. They were paper at the time. And I say, why do they all look alike? Who told these beautiful people to all write their resume to look like every other resume? This is how a resume looks. Well, look at us at the time in the 80s. It was the same with our clothes. You'd have to be as old as me, but dress for success, that was like you wear a blue suit and you have a blouse with a big bow at the top, and then you look like mannish enough to be in the business world. But like, what the hell? We're individual people. We should dress how we feel, right? Obviously, you have to be appropriate at work and on a job interview. But given that, assuming that, come on, you can't bring a little bit of yourself. You want them to hire someone who's not you, who looks like a business robot? I hope not. Can't thank you enough for this coaching session. Thank you for coming. It's everything I need. I'm so glad you're here. Okay. All right. So you're advising to target the job functions or the industry, if appropriate, both. What's ever important to you? Do you want to work in startups? Then it might be the size of the company versus the industry. Do you want to work in not-for-profits? Then is that an industry? I don't know. You might want to work in not-for-profits that specifically have to do with children, right? So that's more specific. You might want to do fundraising or a mix of fundraising and public relations. You're going to decide. Maybe it's industry, maybe it's function. It's probably function because unless it's a very small organization, there's going to be a different hiring manager and different pain associated with each function. The worst brand outside of results oriented professional who sounds like everyone else is jack of all trades or Jill of all trades. Please never say that in your resume. No one understands it and no one has that kind of pain. No one says, you know what I need in this job is a jack of all trades. Decide, make a decision, right? Make a decision. The right branding attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. There will be people who look at your resume, particularly if you use a human voice, meaning the word I, in complete sentences and a conversational tone, like the resumes that I help people write, that are going to say, "Oh no, this we could never consider this person." Good. Thank you for saving me the time. Just like dating, right? You don't want to go on a date with literally everyone. You don't want to go date on a date like, well, if anybody will date me, that's good enough. No, it isn't. You know it isn't, right? You want people who have certain qualities, and it's the same thing with employers. Thank you for opening the windows and changing the paradigm of the job search. I am trashing my old stodgy resume and starting over. Oh, Audrey, I'm so glad to hear that. That's so fantastic. Sure, on our website, humanworkplace.com, we've got stories and resources and things and samples. And if you don't find them, please write to us at support@humanworkplace.com. We'll send you some. Okay. So getting into the methodology, we clarified what kind of job you want, and now we're branding you for that. Two ways to brand yourself for the job you want. Number one is in the summary at the top of your resume, as well as the top of your LinkedIn profile. You're going to declare it, you're going to sing it, you're going to tell everyone what you want to do and why, right? I am an office manager who thrives on keeping a busy office humming and an overstressed executive team sane. Period. Is everyone going to love that? No, they're not. Are the right people going to love that? Maybe yes, they will. You're just going to say it. Here's what I do. You're not going to list your qualities. I'm smart and resourceful and I'm this and I'm that. A, it's not credible because they don't know you. Why should they believe you? And B, anybody could say it, right? You might have to be older than you are to have watched the movie Mary Poppins that came out when I was like 4 or 5 years old. But the little kids in that movie, the mom keeps going through nannies. She can't keep a nanny. The nannies keep quitting. And so the children write a job description for a nanny, their own job description. The dad, unfortunately, rips it up and throws the pieces of the paper in the fire. It goes up in smoke. And then Mary Poppins comes down. Julie Andrews singing, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. But anyway, the children write a job description for their own nanny, and the job description is she must be neat, she must be witty, very sweet and fairly pretty. Take us on outings, give us treats. They have an idea of what they want, right? They say this is what we want in a nanny. It's all about from their experience, and that's how I want you to write your resume. This is what I want in an employer. I'm telling you who I am, in part to have you know my capabilities, but also in part to bring in the employers that are going to get me and therefore deserve me. Right? We should all watch that movie together sometime. Julie Andrews in Mary Poppins, right? Dick Van Dyke as the chimney sweep. Chim, chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, chiree. Worst British accent, they say, ever filmed. Okay, so we've got the exploration, which is getting altitude. We've got the branding, your sweet spot. That's the second step. The third step in our job search methodology is how am I going to reach these employers? Now I have my branding out there. What are the ways that I'm going to reach them or they're going to find out about me? So there's 5. We teach 5 ways to make contact with employers. Number 1 is your LinkedIn profile. Recruiters are going to find your LinkedIn profile and reach out. Not every single type of job is recruiter friendly, right? But a lot of them are. If you're in tech, if you're in marketing, if you're in healthcare, right? And lots of other fields, you would expect recruiters to contact you because they get paid for placing candidates into their client organizations. And so the more hard hitting, the more specific your branding is, the more likely you are to hear from recruiters. So that's number one. The number two channel or means of approach to employers is, of course, either their website or Indeed or LinkedIn where jobs are posted. That's fine, but I don't want that channel to be your only channel. I don't want sitting at your computer and applying for jobs to be your whole job search strategy. It's just, there's so many flaws with it. You know what they are. You go through all of these pages filling out your past jobs, and then they want you to still upload a resume, and then you don't hear from them, and then they send you a psychological test to take. Ugh. I don't want, because it's depressing, it's discouraging, and we need your flame really high. So if you do that, I want that to be one of maybe two or three channels. A third one is your network. And this is where you're contacting the people you know and saying, I'm looking for a job. I'd love to catch up, talk to you about what you're doing, see if I can be of any help, just talking through whatever issues you're dealing with and see if you have any thoughts for my job search. Networking, right? Number four is consulting. Consulting part-time is a really, really strong job search channel. It's so much easier to approach a company about, I noticed that you folks are doing XYZ, and I was curious if you need any help with blah, 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 or you've been thinking about this issue that a lot of people are dealing with right now, a regulatory thing, or just staff overload or whatever. You hold yourself out then as a consultant. The wall now is absolutely eroding between regular full-time workers and consultants. And consulting is just such a great way to grow your muscles, and it's money and it's credibility and it's a conduit many times to a regular job, like a full-time job. I've hired so many people that consulted with our company, and then we were like, we'll just work here full time if you want to, and they did. So consulting is, brilliant. And then, of course, the direct approach that we teach, where you send a pain letter directly to your hiring manager at their desk, paper, right? Maybe they're working from home, so it's delayed a couple days while the mailroom, sends it to their home, but they still get it at home. Like, what's this? It's a letter. When's the last time I got a letter from an individual at my desk? And then it's also about them when they read the pain letter. We'll do another session just about pain letters, but Google Liz Ryan pain letters. I have a million articles out there, right? So there are a lot of ways to reach employers. It's not just filling out online job applications. That is a sort of a harsh way to confront your job search. Like, well, let me apply for another 7 jobs today because I'm getting a response rate of like 2%. That's just too discouraging, and it takes too long, and it's too frustrating. It's too passive, actually. You got to get out there and you've got to have fertile conversations with people, right? So that's the methodology. And then, of course, the final step in our job search program is so now you're having interviews. And how are you going to do that? You're going to sit there and be Hermione Granger from Harry Potter? Yes. No. Well, perhaps at times, right? No, you're going to go past the question. You're going to go past the question. They're going to say, so how long have you been using Excel? And you're not going to say, about 2 years. And then sit and wait for the next question. You're going to say, oh, well, I started using Excel actually. A funny way, our VP came down from the 44th floor and needed something, a report. My boss wasn't here, and I defined it, and then he wanted something different. And so I had to change it around right then and there. And I kind of taught myself Excel. Now I teach everybody in our office how to use it. What's that? That's a powerful story that lands and that is going to stay in their memory. When you have the opportunity to tell a story, tell the story, right? Interviews should not be oral exams. The interview paradigm itself is broken, and I'm trying to teach employers. Luckily, some of them, more of them all the time, are jumping on board with that. An interview should be a conversation like we're having right now, except your responses, of course, your contributions to the conversation are in the chat. Do you believe that as an HR professional, you need to have SHRM certification? I will not touch that with the 10-foot pole. Look, I'm too old. I didn't need it. By the time the certification came along, it was irrelevant to me. A lot of companies want it. It's expensive, I think. The problem with certifications is that if you ask someone who has the certification, they're likely to say you absolutely need it. I could never have accomplished what I've accomplished without it. And if you ask someone who doesn't have it, they're likely to say, nah, you don't need it. I didn't need it. So it's a gut. You're going to have to decide based on your gut. But I mean, if it's like six, $7,000. That's a huge investment. That's a huge investment, right? So it's just I would think about it 2 or 3 times. Let's see. What if I do not know? HR generalist. Then you ask, you inquire, you get into it, get out of like who. If I gave you an opinion, would that be definitive? Would it be like Liz Ryan told me, therefore I'm going to do it? I'm asking you to look inside and decide who do I trust? Who do I know? Who can I reach out to? Can I join HR groups? Can I get active on looking at HR blogs? Can I really get into an exploration before I make a 70? I made up that number, but it's probably not far off, a $7,500 investment that may or may not help me. I'm asking you to engage in your own career in a more active way. This is who prospers, not just financially, but organically, energetically, psychologically, emotionally, philosophically. It's everything. You are the CEO. It is your life. This is a life decision, not a business decision. Okay, okay, let's see what we can find here in the chat. Don't know because it's not letting me scroll. So you're going to interview, and you're not going to just sit passively and answer the questions like it's an oral exam at school, because at school everyone can pass the exam, but here they're looking at the personality of the person and the way they approach the questions that are asked. So you want to have stories ready, and you want to be able to ask your own insightful questions, right? Why is this job open? Right? How long has the job been open? If the job's been open like 7, 8 months, run away. Something is busted. It kills me, man. When I was an HR leader, if a job sat open, I would say to the manager, what are we doing? You've interviewed 15 people. What are you lacking? Because all we can hire from is planet Earth right now. We can't hire from Mars and Venus. So if you're not liking any of these candidates, it's on us. It's not on them. You haven't sent me the right person yet. Well, what are we lacking? Well, I can't put my finger on it. Okay, I'm canceling the job opening, right? I'm canceling the job opening. It's going on hold until you figure your shit out, okay? Like, no, I'm not going to subject 15 more beautiful job candidates to you saying, I don't know, I still need to see a few more people. No, that's ridiculous. That's some fear based, gross, old school. If this is not a critical need, then why did you ask to hire someone? Because if you really have a need, then it's costing the company every day we don't have somebody. It's been 6 months. Let's get real. Let's tell the truth about what's working and what's not working. And that is something that is not working. If a job is open 6 months or 7 months, you don't want the job. It either means they hired somebody and that they quit, they hired somebody and they got rid of them, or 2 or 3 people. There's something broken on their end. Agreed, research is an example of your investment. Absolutely. Fact, it's been 9 months. Is it even needed? Thank you, Crystal. Is it needed? You seem to be doing fine without it, right? It's so gross. Its job's been open for 9 months. What the heck? Then is it even a real job? I'm afraid if I took this job might be the first one to go if you guys had a layoff, because it's evidently not critical to the running of your business. So we are going to be more penetrating. We're going to look at the way they run their business instead of saying, please, somebody just hire me. We're going to say, I don't know about these people. And we feel naturally afraid to do that because it can be hard to get a job, but it also is really hard to find good people. So as more confidence you build in yourself, the more willing you're going to be, the easier it's going to be to say, thank you, no, next. SHRM vis-a-vis project management cert. I've been managing projects as a consultant for years before the PMP and Agile became a thing. Haven't needed a PMP yet. Isn't that the truth? 15 years ago, PMP, got to have it. It's in every job ad. I mean, half these people that put PMP, that's a project management certification, that put it in the job ad, they don't even know what it is, but they just feel like, well, it's an easy way to screen candidates, right? They should go spend $7,500 on this certification and then they'll be better. Why? How are they better? And now they don't even talk about it anymore. And a lot of people don't talk about SHRM certification like they used to either. I'm not dissing all certifications, but it's just something to really think about. And add more income to those already doing the extra with role elimination. Absolutely. Get rid of the job. We'll just put it on you. It's free. Any guidance on career transiting from HR after 50? Oh, Priscilla, we just are in the middle of our course, Reinvention After 50. We offer our courses, our online courses, usually once a year each. Our course Take Charge Consulting, which is about how to start a consulting business. That's actually on sale right now. I have posts about it on LinkedIn. But normally our courses are offered once a year, maybe sometimes twice a year. And that's why we are such good friends with career coaches and career development folks, because they also offer our courses more consistently throughout the year. We kind of come out with our courses, one in October and then one in January and so on. So our courses, I think, are fabulous. I'm a big fan, and we get great reviews and great stories that come back from people who did the courses, but they're not always available. So it's a little bit, you have to kind of hit it at the right time. But we are starting to deputize and empower career coaches to teach our courses all the time. And so if you are on this presentation today and you're a career coach and you're interested in learning to teach our courses and resell them to your clients, by all means, write to us at support@humanworkplace.com, or just write to me in my LinkedIn inbox and we'll get you going with that so that you can become a protege of mine and learn how to teach our courses to your clients, and actually how to use those courses to grow your coaching business. Or if you want to become a career coach, you haven't been a career coach, or perhaps haven't worked for yourself, but that's what you're interested in doing, same thing, write to me and we'll get you going with that, because I want this course material to get out there to the whole wide world. But we don't offer our courses all the time because we're always doing something new. I believe experience and knowing what matters most to company is most important when manage anything, including hiring via HR. Couldn't agree more. Let's see what we have. Do we have any more questions? We're going to stick around and answer questions for a couple of minutes here. And then, of course, I will be back next week. That's the 15th of September at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Any new questions? Thank you, Liz. I'm looking to transition into a new career, not HR field. That's absolutely great. Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. If you write to us, if you're interested in the course Reinvention After 50 that we're in the middle of right now, it's online, so it's self-paced. You could write to us at support@humanworkplace.com. Could probably figure out how to get you in there. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It's so great to see you or hear you or see your thoughts and words. I'm always really happy to have these conversations. I'll be back next week. And hey, keep growing your flame and have a great weekend.